As a teacher, I'm unlikely to drown at work. My chances of falling off scaffolding or being eaten by a lion or poisoned by a chemical leak are remote. Yet there is one illness that as a teacher I'm more vulnerable to than most, and that's stress-related mental illness. Last year, NSUWT received a report it had commissioned into teachers' mental health. It makes harrowing reading. I urge you to have a look at it. It'll be available from Redmill. Mental health issues, of course, are not limited to teachers. World Health Organization predicts that by the end of the decade, depression will become the biggest single disease burden on society, because to individuals, families, communities, and the economy. But it is a particular problem within our profession, with over 2/3 of teachers reporting work-related stress, which for 1/3 resulted in absence from work. Research project after project finds that teaching is one of the most stressful professions. 1/3 of us find work extremely stressful, and I don't need to tell you why this is so. Stress and workload, along with government initiatives, form the top 3 reasons for people leaving teaching early, and mental disorder is the most common cause of teachers taking early retirement. It shouldn't be like this. Teaching can be a great job. It's got potential to give our lives shape, purpose, and to improve the quality of our lives because we can rightly feel that we're doing something worthwhile and valuable. Teaching, of course, isn't the only stressful job, so why is it that so many teachers succumb to stress-related illness? Some factors are the usual suspects. High workload is one. Despite the national agreement, teachers are still working beyond 50 hours a week. We try to do a job which, if we're honest, simply can't be done. It's just not possible to plan every lesson to an Ofsted standard, to mark books as often as we should, to chase up every event that happens during a school day, to write schemes of work which tick all the boxes, and to teach brilliantly stimulating lessons within the limits of a 24-hour day. Another cause of stress is unacceptable pupil behavior. There aren't many other jobs where a worker is put in front of a group of 32 people whose sole aim in life is to try to reduce you to tears. Add an impractical or poorly considered innovation, conflicting expectations, unsupporting working environments, bullying managers, and it's surprising the toll of workload stress isn't even higher. But the biggest problem is often ourselves. We all went into teaching to make a difference, to develop the whole child academically and pastorally. In our daily lives, we find ourselves in conflict between pushing the academic agenda and preparing pupils for everyday life. We want to do the best for our pupils, but often we believe that the hoops we're required to jump through actually harm them. Government has a good idea, it leads to an initiative, but even if the initiative is good, it's often poorly thought out, developed into one-size-fits-all dogma, and it's a poor old classroom teacher who has to try to implement it. The problem's made worse because each initiative becomes the baby of the keen, newly appointed assistant head teacher who's determined to show how well he or she can manage the project, but has no idea of the cumulative effect of all these babies on the classroom teacher. Accountability is well and good, but the goalposts keep changing. First, it was the number of GCSE passes, so we had to pupils in large numbers. Then the number of pupils who obtained 5+ good grades became important, so we concentrated on quality rather than quantity. Then English and maths had to be included, so we increased the timetable time for these subjects, at times, particularly in primary schools, almost to the exclusion of everything else. Now the English baccalaureate is upon us, and schools are beginning to sack their ICT teachers and technology teachers, yet it was only last year that these were regarded as really important subjects. It doesn't seem to matter whether we agree with the latest fag. League tables are everything. The actual needs of the pupils take second place. To someone who's devoted their life to helping pupils, this causes understandable problems. The pressure cuts right across the education system. The head of department or phase leader puts pressure on the chalk-faced teacher. It's understandable. The head of department is under pressure from the leadership team. The leadership team are only passing on the pressure for the head teacher, who himself or herself is under pressure from the chair of governors, who's told him, if you don't raise these standards, your job is at risk. Yet nobody in the leadership team has had any training on how to manage their own stress, nor how to recognise it in others, nor how to help deal with it. I don't excuse the bullying manager who, under this pressure, resorts to an abusive or bullying management style, but we shouldn't be too quick to condemn. Often their actions are a result of stress the manager is under, but we all know that it's just not done for a deputy head to take time off with stress or depression. How's that going to look on their CV? Despite the rising levels of stress, the sleepless nights, the digestive problems, the rising alcohol bill, the chest pains, the strains on our relationship, we struggle on. We can't take time off, the pupils need us. It's only a few weeks from SATs or GCSEs or coursework or the nativity play. We have to struggle into work. Yet when we do, our performance drops. We miss deadlines. We can't think clearly. We start snapping at our colleagues. We become not very nice people to know. And just as we need our friends on the staff, our illness starts driving them away. Our managers don't notice. First of all, they haven't been trained to. And anyway, we're hiding our symptoms for fear of how it's going to affect our career. And even if managers do notice, they can't actually do anything about it. Support is costly, the budget's under pressure. Pupils' needs are paramount, and we agree with them. We don't want to let our students down. So we keep driving ourselves harder and harder, and then we snap. Our doctor puts his or her foot down, we get signed off work. Remember that 1 in 3 teachers needs to take time off work with stress or stress-related mental illness at some time during their careers. 1 in 3. And the time we need to take off can be extended. Dose of man flu will see you getting back to work within a few days. Broken leg, maybe a week or 2. But the time to get over a psychological disorder can take months. And let's just hope that you're not in one of those schools where management response is to invoke aggressive sickness management or capability proceedings. The cost of all of this to ourselves, our families, to the school, and the very pupils we're trying to help is enormous. If only we hadn't allowed it to get out of hand.